This is Chaplain Frederick Gehring. And one of these three girls owes her life to Father Gehring and the 10,000 Marines who were on Guadalcanal. What is your name, please?
My name is Patsy Lee. My name is Patsy Lee. My name is Patsy Lee.
Only one of these young ladies is the real Patsy Lee. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Peggy Cass, Barry Nelson, and Kitty Carlisle. On To Tell the Truth with your host, Bud Cogg.
Thank you very much. Welcome once again to Tell the Truth. Brought to you this week by Salem Cigarettes. Before we start, I have an announcement concerning our two handsome male panelists tonight. First of all, Barry Nelson has been signed to do the motion picture version of the hit Broadway play, Mary, Mary, in which he has starred for how many performances, Barry?
Pardon?
How many performances?
Well, it's been about 700, something like 20 months now, Bud.
Oh,
it's still flourishing.
Yeah, I know it is. It's great. Well, anyway, so he's leaving the play at the end of the week. And guess who's coming in to take over his lead part in the play? Our own Tom Poston.
For Barry going into the movie, I think that's marvelous.
Totally.
Tell me, after 700 odd performances, do you know your lines, Barry? I don't know mine yet.
I don't think there were 700 odd performances. In any event, our best wishes to you both.
Thank you.
Mighty proud of you, believe me. Panel, please open your envelope for the first time, if you will, and follow along with your affidavit card as I read from this one. I, Patsy Lee, was a child in February 1942 when the Japanese bombed and sank the ship on which my family was escaping from Singapore. In the confusion, I was separated from my mother. Nobody knows how, but 8 months later, I was found half alive on the island of Guadalcanal, 4,200 miles from the scene of the sinking. The natives who found me turned me over to Marine Chaplain Frederick Gehring. Father Gehring named me Patsy Lee. He sent me to a school in the New Hebrides, and through him, I was eventually reunited with my mother. It was then that we discovered that my real name was actually Patsy Lee, the name picked at random by Father Gehring. In 1950, the good father arranged for me to continue my education in America. This year, he officiated at my wedding to a man named, believe it or not, Joe Lee. Father Gehring refers to me as a child of miracles. Signed, Patsy Lee. Now, panel, these three young ladies all claim to be Patsy Lee, child of miracles. And we'll start this questioning with Kitty Carlisle. Kitty?
Thank you, Bud. This is the most extraordinary story. Number one, how old were you when the ship was bombed and sunk?
5 years old.
Number two, do you have any recollection at all of this fantastic journey that took 8 months, I think it says?
No, I don't.
Number three, do you have any recollection at all?
No, I don't.
Number one, you never even dream of anything that could be related?
I sometimes dream of water.
You do. How extraordinary that you found another man called Joe Lee. Where did you meet Joe Lee, number two?
At a social gathering.
That's the place to meet your future, isn't it? Number three, what is the, is Father Gehring writing a book called The Child of Miracles?
Pardon me?
Is Father Gehring writing a book called The Child of Miracles?
He has written it.
No, who published it?
Do you know?
Funk and Wagnalls.
Thank you.
Tom Poston.
Thank you, Bud. Gee, this is a fascinating story. I'm interested in some details of the story. Number three, were you ever separated from Father Gehring?
I don't understand. You mean...
Well, let's see. When you were on Guadalcanal, did you have to leave Guadalcanal?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go from there?
To a French island in the South Pacific.
Thank you. Thank you. Number two, where are the New Hebrides? What does that mean? What are the New Hebrides?
They're a group of islands in the South Pacific.
in the South Pacific.
Yes.
Thank you. Number one, were you separated from Father Gehring when you were moved from Guadalcanal to the island in the French
Yes, he
island?
was still in Guadalcanal then.
Peggy.
Patsy Lee, number one. Who owns the New Hebrides?
The French.
Patsy Lee, number two. What is the capital of New Caledonia?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Patsy Lee, number three. Do you know who owns New Caledonia?
No, I don't.
Patsy Lee, number one. Who owns Guadalcanal?
The British.
Thank you. And Patsy Lee, number two. Where was your mother found?
Well, she was when the ship was wrecked, she went to an island that was uninhabited, and they were a bunch of them that were there. And
Barry.
Thank you, Bud. Number three, what does the name Lee mean? Does it have an English meaning?
not that I know of.
I see. Thank you. Number one, there must be some theory about how you could have been 4,500 miles away. What speculation has taken place on that?
Well, most people think, I must have been picked up by some fishermen and brought to Guadalcanal.
I see. Number two, where did the wedding take place?
It took place in Baltimore.
And what...
That's all the time we have, I'm sorry to say. It's a fascinating story, and I wish we had more time to dwell upon it, but now you must dwell upon your ballots. So will you kindly do so, and no further questions, and of course, without consultation, as you vote for number one, number two, or number three. And the team of challengers will, of course, receive the usual $250 for every incorrect vote. All right, panel, all ballots marked? Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number one. I don't know why. She's some cutie, all right, though, isn't she?
Peggy, your vote.
Well, I voted for number two for the same reason. I don't know why.
Barry, which one do you think is the real one?
I added 2 and 1, and I got 3. It doesn't prove that I know who's the one, but that I can add. It's a small achievement, and I'm under pressure.
Kitty.
I voted for number one. I fall into the trap that I usually fall into. I didn't ask the others if they had any dreams, but I did ask number one, and she said that she dreamed of water. And I think this is very likely after such an experience. So I chose number one.
All right, there we have it. All votes are in, minds are made up about a very exciting story. And as we edge closer to the truth, let's find out how right or wrong our voters may be as we learn which one of these young ladies is the child of miracles. So will the real Patsy Lee please stand up? Barry. Thank you very much. Barry, I guess your system is a good one. Wait for the first 2 votes, add them, and you've got it, huh?
You see, that's infallible.
What happens if they each vote for number 2?
Well, then I go into subtraction.
Okay, fair enough.
For you.
And votes for me, because he gets nothing. I get you. Number 1, may we have your real name and what you really do, please?
My name is Paula Chin, and I'm a dancer.
And number 2, may we have your real name and what you do?
My name is Yen Sun. I was born and raised in Canada, and I'm a secretary in New York.
I'm glad that the questioning brought out the fact that Father Gehring has written this book called A Child of Miracles, and it has just come out just about a week and a half ago, so it'll be on your favorite bookstand now. In checking the score, we find that you did very well in fooling the panel, ladies. There were 3 incorrect votes, and that's language anybody can add, and that's $250 for each incorrect vote, a total of $750 for 3 that are wrong. That from Salem Cigarettes and a carton of Salem for each of you. Thank you so much for being with us. Goodbye, and God bless you. The next 60 seconds are guaranteed to put you in a refreshing state of mind. Watch. May I present our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Leonard Kelly. My name is Leonard Kelly.
My name is Leonard Kelly.
Panel, will you follow along with your copies of this next affidavit? I, Leonard Kelly, have two different vocations. At one, I am considered a veteran, and at the other, I am a novice. I have played professional ice hockey for the past 15 years, and now play center for the champion Toronto Maple Leafs. When not on the ice, I am a rookie member of the Canadian Parliament. I was elected to my first term in the House of Commons this year. Signed, Leonard Kelly. Well, panel, these three gentlemen all claim to be, as you heard, Leonard Kelly, hockey-playing member of Parliament in Canada. Let's start this cross-examination with Peggy Cass. Peggy?
Thank you. Number one, who won the Stanley Cup playoffs last year?
The Toronto Maple Leafs.
Thank you. Number two, who was Maurice Richard?
Maurice Richard is of the the Montreal Canadiens.
Thank you. And number three, who does Bobby Hull play for?
Hall, Chicago Blackhawks.
Thank you. Number one, who does Gordie Howe play for?
Gordie Howe plays for the Detroit Hockey Club.
Number three, who is Frankie Brimsek goalie for?
That's a good question.
Yeah, okay. And number one, same question?
Frankie Brimsek?
Yes.
Well, repeat it again.
Who was he goalie for?
I don't think he is goaltender now. I think he did play goal, though, for Boston.
And you
Are you an ex-hockey game?
All I can say is she spends a lot of time on the ice. Barry.
Number three, who is Andy Bathgate?
Andy Bathgate's with the New York Rangers.
Number one, who is Doug Harvey?
Doug Harvey is with the New York Rangers.
Number three, how many fouls are you allowed?
Any number. I don't think there's no limit on
All
the
right.
number.
Could you tell me your age?
38.
What is the usual age for retirement in...
Well, it's about now.
Am I pressing you? Number one, how did this sport affect your winning the election? Would you say it was a major cause of it?
I would say that it was certainly some cause of it.
They're afraid of me. All right.
Kitty.
Number one, who is the Governor General of Canada?
Vanier.
Number two, what is Eaton's in Toronto?
Eaton's is a department store.
Number three, what is the O'Keefe Center?
O'Keefe Center?
Yes.
I don't really know.
Number one, do Alberta and British Columbia touch?
Do Alberta and British, yes.
Number two, can you name, how many provinces are there in Canada?
10 provinces, 2 territories.
Number three, does the name Massey mean anything to you in Canadian politics?
That is a store.
Huh?
That's a store.
That's a store in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Tom.
Thank you, Bud. Number one, how many political parties are represented in Canadian Parliament?
4.
Thank you. I'm going to pursue that with number one. Are they, which party lost a great deal of, a great many seats in this past election?
The Conservatives.
Was that the party to which you belong?
No, I am the Liberal.
Thank you. Number two, what's the meaning of the blue line in a hockey rink?
Blue line divides the rink in the center.
Number three, would you tell us Fontanato's first name?
Lou.
Lou.
That's it. So everybody off the ice, get to the business of marking your ballots, if you will, please. Mark them right now and without change and, of course, without consultation, as you vote now for number one, number two, or number three. All ballots marked? Very well. Tom, which one did you select this time?
Well, I thought to myself, if I were a member of this gentleman's constituency, for whom would I vote? And I voted for number one. Because that's who I'd vote for.
Peggy.
As I made very clear, I think.
I voted for number one because Frankie Brimsek was a goalie for the Boston Bruins about 20 years ago, and he knew it.
Well, now we can skip Barry, because we had 1 and 1, and that makes 2.
Yeah. You see, I couldn't get into any of that kind of thing. I just went, I took a look at the uniform there on number 2, and it looks like he's more of a rookie than 15 years of playing. That's a little too nice and new. Number 3 certainly should have known about the O'Keefe Auditorium, and Peggy's question about that player was Very apt, I thought.
Kitty.
Well, number 2, I voted for. Number 1 may very well be it because his answers were very good on Toronto, but number 3 said that Mr. Massey was a department store. And, and number 2 knew about most of the things that I asked, including the fact that Eaton's is a department store, and I thought that was a rather specific question.
Okay, here we go now to the denouement, so to speak, as we learn which one of these gentlemen is the real hockey-playing member of Canadian Parliament. So will the real Leonard Kelly please stand up? Well, the panel is a little smart on this one, I guess. Number 2, may we have your real name and what you really do?
Donald Hall. I'm a painting contractor for the Bronx, New York.
And number 3, may we have your real name and what you
My
do?
name is Gil Evans, and I'm an art director for Doubleday Book Company.
Well, in taking this call, we find a little too much wisdom and cleverness on the part of the panel this time, but there was only one incorrect. That means $250 from Salem Cigarettes and a carton of Salem's for each of you. And we thank you for bringing so much brightness and happiness to our show. Good night to you, gentlemen, and God bless you. Right about here, you're scheduled for a refreshing journey into springtime. Here, panel, for your meeting is our 3rd team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Ronald Nelson.
My name is Ronald Nelson.
My name is Ronald Nelson.
Once again, panel, will you follow along with your copies of this affidavit as I read from mine? I, Ronald Nelson, live in Oradell, New Jersey, the hometown of astronaut Walter Schirra. I am a member of Boy Scout Troop 36, the same one to which Commander Schirra once belonged. As our whole town prepared for the astronauts' homecoming celebration, our troop tried to think of some appropriate way in which to participate. I came up with the idea of a special merit badge. I designed the badge myself. On Monday, October 15th, in front of both newsreel and television cameras, I presented Walter M. Schirra, Jr. with the world's first merit badge for astronauts. Signed, Ronald Nelson. Very well, panel. You heard these 3 young men, all claiming to be Ronald Nelson of Oradell, New Jersey, Boy Scout Troop number 36. And we'll start the questioning with the gentleman who has been on our daytime show all this week, Barry Nelson.
Thank you, Bud. For somebody who can't tie a square knot, this is an odd position for me to be in. Number 1, could you describe this medal very briefly to me?
It shows the space capsule going around the Earth.
Thank you. Number 3, what did the astronaut say to you upon receipt of the medal?
He just laughed.
He well, you give him a funny medal and... Number 1, do you hope to be an astronaut?
No, not very much.
He likes it at home. Kitty.
Number 2, do you study art?
Yes, I do.
You do. Have you studied for a long time?
Yes, a few years.
Number 3, what is your rank in the Boy Scouts?
I am an Eagle Scout.
Number 1, what is your rank?
Star.
Number 1, what is the name of the capsule in which Mr. Schirra went up?
I'm not sure.
Number 2?
Sigma 7.
Number 3, how many orbits did he make?
I believe he made 6.
Number 1, when you presented the medal to him, what did he say to you?
He didn't say anything.
He didn't even laugh.
He just said thank you.
Tom.
Tell me, if this is now a merit badge, number 2, how does any ordinary Boy Scout go about getting this? What are the rules for getting an astronaut's merit badge?
Well, an astronaut merit badge, a Boy Scout can't get. It's not really an official merit badge. It's meant just for astronaut Schirra.
I see. It was a special thing. Number 3, who actually manufactured the badge for astronaut Schirra?
I did.
Number 1, Number one, do you happen to agree with that?
Yes.
You mean I did, right?
Yes.
Or he did?
I
All right, Peggy.
Number 3, what's a jubilee? Boy Scout jubilee?
I believe that is when scouts from all over the world get together to have inter-troop competition.
Thank you. Number 2, where was it held this year?
For Boy Scouts, there wasn't one held this year. A few years ago, it was held in Colorado.
I see. Number 1, what's the name of your patrol?
The Tigers.
I see. Number 2, do they have Air Scouts?
Air Scouts, yes, they do.
They're Marine Scouts?
That's all the time we have, I'm sorry to say. It's up to that moment again of facing the truth square in the eye and marking your ballot for the one you think is the real one. So will you mark them right now, please? And without consultation, vote for number 2, number 1, I beg your pardon, number 2, or number 3. Nothing like trying to confuse you further. All ballots marked? Okay, Tom, for whom did you vote?
Well, I voted for number 2. I suspect that they may all be wearing their own uniforms. So the questions about scouting, I'm afraid they might all be equally versed in. But he said he was an art student, and I think it might have taken an artist to design the badge.
Peggy.
Well, I voted for number 2, Bud, because you told me to.
Yeah. I did?
You said vote for number 2. No, I voted for number 2 because that was the last Jubilee was in Colorado, so that's why I voted for him. I was there. I was a scout then.
He was a den mother at the Jubilee. Barry.
Why, I voted for number 1, Bud. I thought that number 2 answered like a contestant who was very well briefed, and number 3 got laughed at, and which was unlikely behavior for the astronaut. Of course, he'd been on a very long trip.
Kitty.
I voted for number 2 because I didn't ask the others if they were art students again, but number 1, his name is Ronald Nelson, and he looks Scandinavian to me with a name like Nielsen.
Okay, there we have it once again. So let's find out how right or wrong we are as we learn the truth in finding out which of these young men is the real Boy Scout, member of Oradell, New Jersey, hometown of the astronaut, Troop 36. Will the real Ronald Nelson please stand up? Gotcha that time. You got the whole bit. Now, on the level, did Walter Sherrod laugh?
That's what he did.
He did. Oh, boy, that's great. Number 1, what is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Rusty LaCourse, and I'm in 7th grade in Dobbs Ferry High School. I'm not a scout.
You better be one. It's a great organization. Number 2, you got most of the votes. What is your real name, you Scandinavian you, and what do you do?
My name is Duncan Scott, and my father is associate producer of The Price is Right.
Gentlemen, you did fine, believe me. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 incorrect votes. And, of course, at $250 each, any one of you can add that. That's $1,000 for you to divide. And I hope it brings you lots of happiness. Thank you very much for being with us. Good night. God bless you. Welcome. Thank you. To point out, just for the record, that in that last spot, neither Duncan Scott nor Rusty Lacoste are Boy Scouts. So their knowledge is all the more remarkable, I think, because of that. Now, before we say goodnight to you tonight, may I just say one little brief word to you. Everyone needs something on which to build a happy future and find new strengths for your life and for your family. So worship together this week, will you? At your church or synagogue, and make it a regular weekly habit. Good night, panel.
Good night, Bud.
Bud Collier saying goodnight from Salem Cigarettes, reminding you, of course, to join us again next week at the same time and every day this week on the Daytime Show. May I remind you, in the meantime, to tell the truth. Good night, everybody.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. To Tell the Truth has been brought to you by Salem, the cigarette that refreshes your taste. This is Johnny Olson saying goodnight for To Tell the Truth. This program was pre-recorded.